and we're master's students at the University of Michigan School of Information.
Okay.
So as you hopefully have heard, my class is doing a consulting project with your organization. So we're here to understand better how volunteer placement supervisors like yourself feel about the Office of Patient Experience and volunteer services, which is really what our focus is, and see if there is some way to improve the communication, situation, relationship, or workflow between the volunteer supervisors and volunteer services. This interview will take, we'll see, about 45 to 60 minutes, hopefully, no longer than that, during which time we'll go through some questions, and I might ask you to show me how you perform your work. In this case, obviously, we're just doing questions, so you're not showing us any workflow type things. Throughout, I'd like you to treat me as if you're describing a situation as someone who isn't familiar with the volunteer placement supervisors or the OPE or volunteer services or even Michigan medicine.
Okay.
And we really don't know anything about it, so
Okay.
it's for real.
Okay.
And we're here, of course, to learn from you. Now, a couple things before we start. To the extent possible, we will take your comments to be confidential. So we'll aggregate all the comments from the interviews that we're conducting so that your comments are not traced directly to you. If we quote you in our final report, we will do so without identifying your name or your specific role. If there's anything you really don't want on the record, even if it's anonymized, please let us know, and we'll take care of that for you. Also, this interview is entirely volunteer on your part, so if for any reason you want to stop, please let us know. Okay, we understand. We can end the interview at that point with no repercussions to you of any kind, of course. And if you wish, we can also dispose of our notes of what you've told us until that point as well. So you can just let us know and we'll do what you request.
Shred it.
Get rid of it. Okay, so do you have any questions for us? Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to focus on describing what your relationship is with volunteer services. Okay. So how did you become a supervisor?
Well, there was a need. We needed to have somebody oversee our volunteers because we have a big unit here, and we have a critical care unit. So, and we receive babies from all over the world that are very, very sick. So we needed to have somebody lead off that team that could help them be oriented into just the specialness of our unit and how they could interact with our patient population, how they could feel valued and utilized here on our unit.
Okay.
And we did have somebody that kind of headed off the program and started it a long time ago, but it wasn't anything formal. So then when I stepped in, I kind of really made it formalized, and then we grew the program from there to have a fully staffed volunteer team. So
great. And how is supervising the volunteers going so far?
Actually, I enjoy it. You build relationships. You value what they would like to get out of their volunteer experience. You value them as a person, what they can bring to the table. We do ask for a lot of community-based volunteers because they tend to stay a lot longer. And with the students, once we get them trained for our unit, then all of a sudden they've got another year in assignment, so that wasn't always working out well for us. So we do have some students, and they've been with us for a very long time, and they're the ones that are going to go into pediatrics or something specialty relating to pediatrics, neonatology, nursing, critical care, something of that sort. So
Okay. And how are you balancing work and supervising volunteers?
Well, I know how to duplicate very well. So instead of me orienting the volunteers, I have created a kind of pecking order system, a volunteer mentor system. So those mentors help me make decisions with our team. I empower them to be on the first forefront of if a volunteer has a problem, they come to them. And I match the new volunteers orienting with a volunteer mentor to get their orientation done, so I don't have to do it anymore. So we have a well-polished system with all kinds of lists and things into place from their orientation to, basically everything that they could possibly do in here. So And our mentors have taken the lead. Each one has a lead on something. And every volunteer is assigned to something that they call their own, but they choose what that is. So we have a whole list of things that they can do, and they choose something, and that empowers them to say, oh, no, this is mine. I take care of that. And it makes them feel good and valued. You have to feel valued, otherwise how are you going to get people to work for you for free?
Yeah, true, very true. And this is something that you've developed within the department then?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so how many volunteers would you say you have in a week, and what's usually the maximum or minimum number that you have?
We have a total number of 15 volunteer slots. Right now we have 14. I think there's going to be a 15th place, but we typically have all 15 slots filled up.
Okay.
And we have 3 on every single day. We have specific slots, so 9 a.m. to 12, 12 to 3, and 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. Weekends never work out for volunteers. They historically call in.
Yeah. So.
And you get a student volunteer, that's their weekend off. They're going to go party. They are not coming in here, especially the younger ones. No, I'm sure you're younger, but nothing, intended by that. But it's the truth.
That's the truth.
It's the truth.
Okay, and then how many hours do you volunteer at your work per week on average, would you say?
Do I volunteer?
Well, as far as your role with the obviously you're supervising, so your supervisory duties.
Oh my gosh, that's just right incorporated to my job. So I don't even know, because I do things even outside of here. So I mean, there's countless hours. I'm home on the computer, still communicating with my volunteers. I'm still doing programs and looking over numbers and things. So I do a lot from home. There's not enough time in the day to do everything here. You just can't. It's impossible to do my work and then manage a whole volunteer team.
So there's not as much. You don't see as much of a separation between the two. They're much more.
It's intertwined into what we do. And what I'm doing now is orienting my colleagues to also be on board to help manage and oversee this whole program, so that there's 3 to 4 of us collaborating instead of just me.
Okay.
So right now you're the only one
Duplicating,
supervising.
So I'm duplicating.
Right, but then if you can spread the work out with other people, obviously it gets a little bit easier for everybody.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. And would you, have you received any training to be a supervisor before you actually started this?
I went to several different programs through several different avenues, but I was a business owner for quite a while. So,
Okay. And did you do anything specific with volunteer services for training? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm just one of those born leaders, I guess.
Yeah.
They just kind of threw me into the role.
Yeah. So then, if obviously you hadn't, so have you ever wished that you could have gotten training from volunteer services, and what would it have included if that was the case?
Wow, that's a good question. I guess for somebody that has not had experience with having anybody under them to supervise or manage, it would be nice to have some kind of a program through volunteer services that included how to help people feel good about what they do, not just to manage, because you can't just manage ever. You have to empower people. You have to make them part of the team, and those are the kinds of tools that a lot of managers don't have, or supervisors. So unless you have those types of skills and you have been building on them basically your whole life, you aren't going to really know how to bring people or a team together and get them motivated.
So really leadership focused skills,
Yes.
not just supervisory, but leadership.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And how would you say supportive the staff that work under you are towards the volunteers?
Meaning volunteer services or the staff?
Your actual volunteers and then your staff, so your paid staff.
Okay, so the nature of the beast in this unit is the babies, critical care. So you've got to understand the mindset of the medical team here. We're here, you're not touching this baby. What are you doing here? It took many, 10 years. 10 years we're talking to build this program, to even have the nurses feel comfortable with the fact that we have volunteers that are here to help them, help soothe the babies when they're crying, help them with other tasks. So it took 10 years. It was a long, hard shell to crack. So we finally are there, and now they call every day. Do we have a volunteer? This baby is screaming. I can't
So now
console
they're
it.
asking for that.
Now they're asking for it, but it was a real hard. It was 10 years, literally.
Wow.
10 years, yeah.
Wow.
That I have been pounding the pavement. You know, I mean, every time a volunteer would leave, I'd do an exit interview to try and figure out what we could do better, and, you know, just.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's,
Yeah, it's been a lot.
wow.
It's been a lot.
That's very impressive. Okay, so we're going to focus on some of our main questions now. I think there's a lot of really good background information.
Okay.
So can you tell me about a time when you had a direct communication with Luli, the director from Volunteer Services?
Yeah, I can. I've had many. The one that really stands out was when she took the time to come up here and take a tour with me to see exactly what our volunteers do and to see what kind of program we have created, because we're actually pretty proud of it. So are our volunteers, because they're the ones that have been developing this with us, and I have been just planting the seeds. So she took the time to go through all of that to make sure that they maintain quality volunteers that come on board with us, because we have to have a certain type. And she had to understand, why can't we send up Susie that's in a wheelchair?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Physically,
not
just
that
a
we
different-
don't, right, not
Yeah.
that we don't want Susie in her disability in a wheelchair. I have a daughter that's disabled. There's just not all things for everybody on this unit.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated her coming and her actually backing me as a volunteer supervisor, that yes, she knows what she's talking about. Yes, we will support her. And that made me feel really good. It
That's great.
empowered me.
That's
So,
great. That's great.
yeah.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Okay, now, how often do you hear from Volunteer Services, would you say?
Well, when the schedules come out and if there's any changes.
And how often is that, would you say?
Every quarter.
Every-
Whenever,
so,
yeah,
3
whenever,
months?
yeah, whenever the new schedule changes, and it's usually with the school season.
Okay, so it could be every semester then?
Right,
Okay,
right.
okay,
Like
so
every
it's 5
semester.
months,
Yeah,
4 to
yeah.
5 months,
So,
okay.
and then in between, or if I have any problems, they have never once not gotten back to me on an issue.
Okay.
Not even once. They haven't even made me wait for days. It's usually been within hours. I've been
Wow.
very, very impressed
Wow.
with the amount of work that they do and how quickly they respond back.
It's great
But
to
I
hear.
usually don't reach out to them unless I have a major issue, so,
Okay,
and they
okay.
know that.
Okay. In describing the communication that you had, was it through phone, email, or any other means, would you say? All.
I do phone, I do email.
In person, if they can or you can?
Once in a while, but
Mhm.
because they're over on the other side, I usually don't venture off there. I usually try to call or whatever. But
Yeah, it is
sometimes
kinda
they'll
far,
come.
so.
Yeah, they'll come up here, and I think a couple of times I went down there just because I had to show somebody where their office was.
Oh, I
but,
see. I
yeah.
see. Okay. And then, have you ever? Now you kind of answered this already, but I'm just going to go over to our questions here. So you have reached out to them first, but not as often unless you've had a problem.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And then, when was that last time that you reached out to them? Would you say?
Karen actually emailed me about somebody that wanted to volunteer here, and I guess this person thought she could just come up and talk to me and go through me. So I assured Karen, and we just communicated back and forth, no, I'm gonna let you guys do what you do best, and I'm sending her right back to you, so don't worry about me. I don't have to approve anything. You guys know what you're doing. I have full confidence in you. Here you go. And she said, thank you for that confidence. That was it. That was like, I don't know, 2 months ago.
Okay. Okay. Great. And so you reached out to them. I'm skipping over the question. I don't want to rehash the ones.
No, I think that's good.
Would you say that it was hard to get in touch with them at all? Or contact them?
Never.
Easy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you say all the avenues that you tried, you've always had response.
Always.
And you always contacted them.
Always,
Great.
yes. They're very, very open to communication, which is good.
Okay, that's great. Okay, now can you tell me about a time when you have received support from volunteer services? And that could be almost anything, really.
Oh my gosh, all the time. We had Susie in a wheelchair, literally,
okay.
that was real adamant about volunteering here. She knew she was going to be placed here. This was it. This is what she was going to do. She was kind of a problem child. And we were being politically correct in everything we did and how we communicated. She just kind of went off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, Lily came up to understand the situation and why she couldn't do it, and that was great. There was another time where I had a volunteer that her husband had passed, and her placement was maybe not the best for her at the time. She was having a very difficult time, and I kept taking her into a private session to, counsel her, see if I can help her. Because I truly feel that you always give everybody the benefit of the doubt, their best interests first, because if you tell somebody, I'm sorry, we don't need you here, it's not a good placement, oh my gosh, how is that going to make them feel in the future, in their life?
Right.
That's going to make them, oh my God, I can't even get it as a volunteer.
Yeah.
No, not on my clock. So we kept working it, and volunteer services was so open to everything I was doing and kept telling me, you don't have to try one more time. It's okay if we tell her it's not a good placement. And I kept saying, no, let's just try one more time. It ended up that she decided this was not a good placement. She left, which I was so grateful for, because it wasn't. But I didn't want to be the one to do that. But they were so supportive of this whole process, and it literally took about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
a long time.
yeah.
That's a long time. But at least it was a good outcome.
Yeah,
It
it
was a
was.
good
It
outcome.
was.
Did
Yeah,
she
for
get
her.
just off the?
She went somewhere else to
Okay.
volunteer that fulfilled her needs a lot better.
That's great.
Yeah, because she was still grieving. So
Yeah, right. That's
we have a
difficult.
lot of death on here. So even though that's not the same kind of connection, it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
death is death.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a loss.
right. It's a loss.
So,
Then you're mourning. You're in
Right.
that grieving.
Right. And you don't realize what
space.
it triggers. But
Yeah.
it does.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's so true.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I can tell you from personal experience. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did that one. We talked about that one. Obviously, you talked about how you felt too. So we wanted to elaborate a little bit more about how you felt about the support that you got from them.
I just feel that they have fantastic support. That the three of them. I haven't talked to anybody else. But
Okay, so it's Lily, Karen,
and Pam.
Pam.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all three of them are equally as supportive, no matter what. And we have a great communication, with each other. They all three seem to be very open, honest too, which I really put a high value on. And that's great communicators. I've never had a problem.
That's great. That's wonderful to hear. Okay, so are there any areas of improvement in terms of internal communication between volunteer services and you or your department, would you say? Any areas of improvement?
Well, there's always ways to improve things, of course. I don't think that our institution really knows a lot about the volunteer services department, the magnitude of who they employ, and that really, they do employ people. They're volunteers, they're part of our team. I don't think the institution really sees it that way and maybe even values them as much as some of us do. Because again, they are working for free, and yes, you can't let them walk over you. However, they are working for free. They're here because they love to help. They want to be here, and they really have a heart for it. So you've got to make them feel valued in order to, and I think making them feel valued is not always happening. Making the volunteer supervisors feel valued is not always happening, because, hey, I really would like to get recognition for the great team that I have put together in the program I've built. They always say, oh my gosh, that's great, you do a great job there, this and that and the other, but you know, a little something to my boss or a little some kind of a recognition, you know, that's what people really thrive on. That's what makes them go the extra mile. That's what makes them give all that much more of their own free time.
Right. Could
Even
you
me.
elaborate a little bit more as far as what you mean by recognition? Like in what ways would that, is that
It
recognition?
could be something real simple, like I give out certifications to my volunteers and a small gift. That certification shows them that I've honored them as a volunteer in our department. They were special enough to get that. And then volunteer week, I have a big spread for them and give them gifts for that. For Christmas time, I give them gifts. And then like we're having an annual meeting, I'm giving them a small token gift for that. These could be anywhere from $2 to $5 gifts. I'm going to start a birthday program for the volunteers just so I
That's
could
very nice.
recognize them on
Yeah.
their birthday.
Oh, that's
I
so
mean, even
nice.
if it's just with a card.
Right.
You're
Right.
important enough to say that your life is valued and your birthday is the result of that value in
Right,
you.
right.
So.
Yeah, that is very special. That is
Yeah,
nice.
so that's the kind of recognition, just the kind of little things, not just praise. Praise is good.
Yep.
It's really good, and you know, just like the dog, you stroke them and they're,
Uh-huh.
but you know, but giving them something extra, like the bone, the
Uh-huh.
biscuit, you know, that is something that really does something.
Mhm.
It really causes people to act. It
Yeah.
puts things into action, and you want to give more.
Mhm. Great. Now, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
I get really detailed, sorry.
Oh, no, that's what we
Okay,
want. That's what we want.
okay,
That's
yeah.
exactly what we want. And then I think you've covered a lot of these particular points that I'm going to mention in this question. But if there's any else that you could mention, would be great. How do you feel about what areas the volunteer services are doing well on or in, as far as in addition to what you mentioned before? What else do you think they're doing well?
I don't know about all the other things that they do.
Mhm.
I like that they have the supervisor luncheon. That is really a really good thing.
Like what happened yesterday?
Yeah, because it's a great informational session, but I really think they could do a little bit better in helping us find a way to communicate with each other and share ideas, because that's how you build.
Yeah.
You know, these informational luncheons are great. Don't get me wrong, I really like to go. I can't always go. This is the first one I've been to in 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm always so busy, I
Oh,
just
sure.
can't even break away to go.
Mhm.
Or it's not my day to work, and I live 50 minutes away. I'm not coming in for
Oh,
That's why
yeah,
lunch
if you live that far away, yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Right.
On a day off to come from, yeah, that'd be
Right,
very
yeah,
difficult.
no thanks. So, but finding a way to help all of us volunteer supervisors collaborate with each other and share ideas. I don't know, maybe it's a little part of the website or their newsletter that we can click on and say, volunteer supervisors support one another. Click. Oh, I see Susie said that this helped out her team there. Maybe I'll try that, you know.
Mm.
Or here's where Susie is located, or her pager number, or this, or her email, whatever. I can email her directly, or, you know, just whatever. I don't even know what that could look like, but
Mhm.
that comes to mind
Okay.
when I was sitting there in the, you know, supervisor luncheon.
Mhm.
That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking.
Mhm.
How do we all connect together? Because we just sit here and I'll go, yeah, that's great. And maybe one or
Right.
two of us will speak up, or like they'll say to me, like they said to me, and Janet, maybe you could, and I'm like, yeah, I
Mhm.
can elaborate. So, you know.
Yeah, and do you think that maybe the format, like in an auditorium, do you think that maybe kind of influences a little bit of how you interact or don't interact with some of the other supervisors? Would you
Not
say?
really, no.
Mhm.
No, I think we could interact in there, but in a different way too.
Mhm.
You know, that is great for the informational session, but there needs to be a little more, and kind of
Yeah.
somehow that we
Yeah.
can.
Or do people ever introduce themselves in the big
No.
group like that? Oh,
No,
okay.
I mean, Karen said, you know, I heard her telling people as they were coming in, go sit next to somebody you have never met before. And I'm looking around and I'm going, okay, well, I know him. That's it. You know, I don't know anybody else, so really I'm surrounded by people I don't know. And most people are on their lunch, they're there to learn, and, you know, and it's great, but you're just not going to reach out and interact.
Unless you're really pushed to do it. And,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more question.
Okay.
So, is there anything you'd like to talk about that we haven't discussed yet regarding communication with volunteer services? Anything in particular that we haven't mentioned?
No.
You covered a lot. You
Yeah.
covered quite a bit.
Yeah,
You
I
covered
think I
quite a
have.
bit.
I can't, now the brain's like, no, I think it's all gone. It's all empty.
Real quickly, you mentioned the website. Could you just briefly discuss anything about the website that you think could be better? I know you mentioned a connection made with other volunteers. Do you think
I
there's anything else?
haven't even looked at the website. I only get the emails because I just don't. I didn't even know there was a link to their website. I've
Okay.
never went on it, but
Okay.
I have looked at the emails. And,
Sure.
You know,
So
whenever
the
she sends
email is
out-
like the primary thing that you use to.
Right.
to
Right.
communicate
Yeah. I
with.
guess I didn't even. I just said website because that's.
Oh, sure, but no, that makes sense. I mean, because
Yeah, it
that's
does
the
make
way
perfect
of.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with technology, since that's our angle.
Right,
You know.
right.
um,
Does Volunteer Services have a website?
They
I'm
do.
sure they do.
They do.
I mean,
They
we
do.
have a web page out there in the world and its presence, but it isn't even kept up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I'm not, sorry. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I was asked, but
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm not a techie.
Okay.
No, not
Okay.
at all.
Yeah, you're hands on.
Yeah.
You're hands on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I mean, with what you do, I think it suits you very well.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
My wife's a lactation consultant, and she's worked in the NICU.
Oh,
She's a nurse.
really?
Yeah.
Here?
Not here.
So-
She's actually right now. She works at Corner Health in the IPSI.
Okay,
But
okay.
we're from Chicago, and so
Okay.
she worked at Swedish Covenant Hospital back in Chicago.
Is she
and-
a CLC or?
She is, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
is she
She's a
RN or?
CB. She's an RN. I think she's. Is it
IBCLC,
IBCLC.
yeah.
Yes,
Mhm,
yes.
mhm.
So that's what she is right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
but
that's
she's
what we have too here, but I'm a CLC.
Okay.
They're IBCLCs because they're RNs and they decided to go the tougher route.
Okay.
The
Okay.
easy route.
Yeah, but she did her hours and everything, and oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
It's grueling.
Yeah,
It's grueling.
yeah,
Even
but she
what I
loves it.
did was grueling.
Yeah, but she loves it. She
Yeah.
loves it. That's what she wants to do.
Right.
so,
Oh, cool.
yeah, that's what she wants
Very
to do,
cool.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell her congrats on her being a lactation consultant. We really need more in this world to help out. let me tell
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
The thing that is the most natural, we ignore.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
figure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, she feels the same way. She definitely feels the same
I'm
way.
sure we could talk shop.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Well, these are all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna.
Fantastic.
One more thing.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
yes.
You mentioned something about the volunteer mentors. Are they also volunteers as well?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
What they have been here like
Long
a
time.
year or out.
Okay.
And then when they've been here that long, I just say, you've been here this long, we have a new slot for a volunteer mentor.
Mm.
Would you like to fulfill that slot? Because I feel that you would be a very good one. And then, it isn't necessarily, there's really no qualifications except for they've been here a year, they
Mhm.
know the place, and they could train someone.
Mm.
And any volunteer mentor really historically has been a community base, but now I am starting to place some of our students that have been with us for a very long time. And, why not? It makes them feel better, and plus on their resumes, if they go anywhere else, it actually looks better because they have acquired that status. So.
And they
you know.
understand the layout. They
system.
understand the system.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So, there you have it. Was that
Yeah.
good enough?
Yeah.
Satisfaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for.
Thank you.
'Cause I thought the same thing
Yeah,
too.
I was like-
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. Janet, could you do me a favor? Could you describe your role or position here at Michigan Medicine real quick? 'Cause I
Sure.
didn't ask you at the beginning.
Sure,
so.
I am a paid parent position, and what that means is I had a baby or two. I had two babies in the NICU, and there was a whole list of qualifications you had to meet, and that's why I'm here. That's what my position is. It's called parent host,
Mhm.
and then I'm the volunteer supervisor and coordinate all the unit activities. So I'm parent host / coordinator, I guess
Uh-huh.
you'd say.
Uh-huh.
So,
Is it like a type of a liaison type of position? where-
yeah, it's I support parents and
Okay.
families of babies that come in our ICU. I help orient them, get them settled in, make sure they have everything they need, go over all the ins and outs, the rules, the lay of the land, also support them emotionally. I'm a peer support person, so because I have been here, I know what it's like to be a stressed out parent in the ICU. Because I've had a death of my baby in the NICU, I can relate to those that have had a death. So if a parent has had a death, I go and help the nurse, I can help with postmortem care. If a mom is by herself and the dad has not made it there while the baby's dying, just because he can't get there, I'll sit with the mom. I'll hold her while she's holding her baby, crying while her baby's passing.
Right.
So it's it's kind of a catch-all situation. I'm kind of a cross between, social work, nursing, and lactation. So, because I do lactation support as well.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of everything.
Right.
And not
right.
one specific thing. I'm kind of the go-between. And I kind of have my hands on in everything. Yes.
Yeah. And did you see your nurse as well or no?
No.
Okay.
No,
I wasn't sure if you had said that or not. So
No,
okay.
no.
Okay. Yeah. And I meant to ask you the questions at the beginning, but I got to the end. I was like, wait a minute. I want her to describe her position for us, just to be.
No,
to be
I've
clear,
always
so.
been in administration, so
Yeah.
here I am.
Yeah.
A little bit of medical background, but in natural health. That's where I was going to get my doctorate. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I never made it. But anyway,
Yeah.
never made it. Kind of got sidetracked a few times.
That's life,
Yeah,
that's life.
with babies and special needs kids,
Sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Janet, thank you so much for sharing your time. I'm going to read you my end spiel here real quick, and then I'll let you go and so you can do your job.
Yeah, because I'm going home right after I'm done.
Okay.
So let's get this show on the road.
Okay, so thank you for your time. Those are all the questions that we have for you. Should anything else occur while you're gone, after our interview here, don't hesitate to let me know, okay? And I think you have my email already,
I have
so
your email.
we may be in touch again with you to ask any follow-up questions. I don't think we will, but
We were pretty thorough.
Yeah, and probably in about 6 to 8 weeks after we've concluded all the interviews and our analysis, we'll send you our final report.
Oh, that would be
so you guys
super
can kinda
cool. I would love to see that.
see what we have. So, and so we are also scheduled to do a presentation, and so you'll be invited to come to that.
Oh,
if you
cool.
want. So,
That would be cool.
Yeah.
See the final.
Yeah. So
If I'm here that day, I
Yes,
will. But
absolutely,
if I'm not here that
absolutely.
day,
That's fine.
don't take offense.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Do you mind if we stay just a few minutes to kind of debrief a little bit?
Right
Yes.
ahead, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, because we want to
And
definitely.
you can see yourself out, right?